In Guns N' Roses fan lore, one unheard song trumps all others. A song rumored to be the follow-up to Estranged, with piercing emotional vocals screamed by Axl. This song, titled The General, was created during the infamous Chinese Democracy sessions, somewhere between the years 1997 and 2002. The song was first mentioned in the year 2003, and over the decades has been eagerly awaited by fans as Axl's magnum opus. I will chronologically document every mention of The General over the years, along with apparent low-quality cell phone recordings, and even a mind-blowing fan-created version of the song. The first time The General was ever mentioned was by American composer and conductor of film and television scores, Marco Beltrami. In the summer of 2002, Axl hired him to provide orchestral arrangements for 4 songs on the upcoming Guns N' Roses album. When questioned about the experience during a 2003 interview with IGN, here's what he had to say. "That was sort of just work for hire. I guess they'd heard some of my orchestral music of mine. I met with Axl and he played me these songs, asked me my ideas about them, and I told him what I thought they needed. They gave me 4 songs to orchestrate. A couple of them I did more than orchestrating. I actually wrote some melodies and stuff. It was a fun project. I really enjoyed it. The music was eclectic, and at the time that I was doing it, there were no lyrics on the songs that I was working on. People ask me about the album and I really have no idea about the release. I thought it was coming out last September. I'm the wrong person to ask about that." The interviewer responded, "He came to you with the tracks then, so you weren't ever in the studio with the musicians or anything like that?" "No, they had finished tracks. On one song I actually wrote a guitar part, but they pretty much had the band tracks down, and then I added orchestral stuff on top of it. A song called 7, which is the one that I did the most work on, I actually did some writing on. There was one called Time, one called The General, one called Leave Me Alone." The next time the song was mentioned was in January of 2006. Dizzy Reed was doing a Q&A with popular forum member at the time, Splat. When asked of new music, he said, I don't know. Last year, Brain had this song called The General that was really cool. The song was then mentioned a couple times in 2007 and 2008, coming from the mouth of Axl's longtime friend Sebastian Bach. He said to Metal Edge, "One of my favorite songs is this song called The General, which is it's by far the heaviest metal tune I think I've ever heard Axl do. This slow, grinding riff with these high, piercing vocals, screaming vocals." Axl goes, "Well, this comes out on the 3rd record. It relates to this song. It's a trilogy. This goes with this lyrically." Then again in Rolling Stone, Bach says Rose told him that a slow, grinding track called The General is the sequel to Estranged that goes to the parable that Del James wrote of the trilogy. Now we come to the end of 2008, and Chinese Democracy has finally been released. However, the rumored A-list song The General isn't on it. Axl took to online message boards following the album's release to answer questions from fans. He confirmed that The General is a real song, along with many other tracks. Another fan asked if he can divulge any more details about the song. Axl replied, "You may have heard parts of it somewhere." It was later mentioned by the official Guns N' Roses Twitter page in reply to their concert intros. There are several. The General is probably most played before Chinese Democracy, the opening song. The orchestral intro to The General was the intro song played before the band went into the opening song in concerts from 2006 through 2010. A few years later, in 2013, Bumbefoot briefly touched on the song during a web chat on Eat More Heat, according to the website Appetite for Discussion. He said, "The General is a really cool song. It's got an interesting vibe to it. Kinda like urgy." The song was discussed by fans frequently online through the years since. The mythological rumors of the song kept fans intrigued. Before I get into the clips of The General, let's touch on the final time the song has been spoken of. In 2019, Brain, drummer of GN'R during most of the Chinese Democracy sessions, got candid on the song when questioned on the amazing podcast, Appetite for Distortion. Brain sort of humanizes this mythical song, telling of its origins.
Well, we called it The General because we were eating General's chicken.
Okay.
Chinese food. But when I turned it in, to Axl, he thought it was called the General because I was kind of making fun of Tommy, as Tommy was the band, kind of like the MD. He was like the musical director when we'd have rehearsals. And he thought, I was, poking fun at Tommy as being, like a general, okay, we're rehearsing at this time, and that kind of shit. And I was like, no, dude, it was because we ate General's chicken. I don't know who got it, but, we were writing all these crazy songs to try to turn in to, and these were coming from, Extract as an old school DJ. And so the shit we were putting together was crazy. We were just kind of going okay, what samples should we find for Axl? He's kind of like Julius Caesar. So we were sampling Julius Caesar, looking for albums, and old school crazy shit. And I think we sampled Ben-Hur. The whole thing was just I was turning in all these weirdo songs that were coming, way far to the left or whatever. And, it was just kind of a crazy story of how that's one of them was the General. And I think Axl actually sang on the General.
Now, the biggest piece of information on the General. In 2010, there was an after-party following a Guns N' Roses concert in Vienna, Austria. It actually seemed to be a listening party, with unreleased songs, presumably to be featured on the never-released follow-up to Chinese Democracy, being played. Some fans were in attendance, and one had the wherewithal to record the audio playing with their cell phone. Although this was in 2010, the audio did not leak to fans until the year 2018. It leaked along with an updated version of Silkworms from the same party, proving these leaks were legit. The only issue is, the recording is almost unlistenable. However, with some headphones on and some focus, you can make out what parts of the song sound like. There are bits where Axl is going for it, with those piercing, high, screaming vocals that Sebastian Bach told about. Throughout calmer sections of the song, Axl is singing in a more Mickey voice, similar to the voice used in Catcher in the Rye. The song truly sounds like an epic, with different vibes and arrangements interchanging throughout. The leaked clip was only 2 minutes long. When this poor quality clip leaked, it inspired a very talented fan, who goes by the name Evader, to create an insane version of the song from scratch. Using the leaked clip as a guide, along with the song's intro that was used as the concert intro during the Chinese Democracy tour, he smashed that together with thousands of Axl sounds. He got these sounds from the multi-tracks of all 14 of the Chinese Democracy songs that were released on the video game Rock Band. These Axl vocal tracks are quite the fun listen, along with the other instruments, if you can track them down. Of course, Evader's version of the song may sound very similar to the actual song, or it may be a bit off. He was using his imagination to fill a lot of the gaps, and he did an absolutely spectacular job. Here's some snippets of the different sections of Evader's version. Both Evader's creations and the poor quality recording can be found on YouTube. There is one other piece of the puzzle of the General to touch on, but this part is highly speculative. There is a lyrics page to the song on Genius.com. I don't believe these lyrics to be accurate, as no fan has actually proven to have heard the legitimate song. The part of the General that I do believe I heard the lyrics to in these clips is, "Who did this to you?" The presumed fake lyrics online assume that this song is all about the abuse Axl received as a young child. Hopefully, in due time, we will hear this epic song. However, it can only be assumed that if we do, it will be a recording mixed with new guitar leads from Slash, along with a new bass tracking by Duff. That is how they handled the official releases of both Hard School and Absurd, formerly known as Silkworms. I personally want to hear the 2002 or so version of the song, with its original parts from Buckethead, Robin Fink, and Tommy Stinson. I can definitely say I prefer the Village Leaks, or Locker Room Leaks, versions of Hard School and Silkworms. Slash and Duff did add some cool ideas, but the originals sound so much better in my opinion. With the unreleased song perhaps being sound-checked at concerts currently in the year 2023, we should be hearing an official single version of it soon. Fingers crossed that the General won't be far behind. Actually, fuck it. Someone leak it. I am re-uploading this video, following it being taken down by Universal Music Group for the snippets I originally included. One perk of that is that I can add one extra piece of speculation on the song. When GN'R played Abu Dhabi on June 1st of 2023, photos of the setlist were posted online. One of these pictures had a faint setlist in the background, which does in fact have The General as the first song of a setlist. These are legitimate setlists from the GN'R camp, so this is intriguing. The song hasn't been used in concert as an intro for over a decade, much before the reunion. One setlist also had the song Perhaps, which wasn't yet public knowledge to be the band's next single. Perhaps The General will follow as the next single from the band.